Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Blue Bud Wisdom Show, a podcast created to share simple tools to break you free from the mind chatter, reclaim your divinity, and support your journey to freedom and happiness. I'm your host, Ellyn Katherine S1, spiritual wealth catalyst and healer. Now let's jump into your dose of ancient wisdom. Hi everyone. So I wanted to make this episode a little bit different than what I've done before. Before I used to just speak when I'm inspired and start recording. And this time it's different because I decided to channel the information that you are meant to hear at the moment on the spot during this recording. So it's going to be interesting because I have no idea what I'm going to say and what this is about. But I know that there are certain things that have come up about the ego and about the light quotient. And I know in the past I've mentioned a lot about life lessons, which is definitely one of the really important keys to obtaining spiritual wealth. But also learning how to decipher the voices, our ego versus our higher self. I want to mention something that I find really interesting because I've mentioned so many times in my other recordings that when you become the observer, you can start to see things in a different perspective. And as I've been analyzing certain things that are coming up, I notice that, wow, I'm going back into the rabbit hole of my old habits. And instead of beating myself up about it and feeling guilty and shameful and not having compassion for myself, the observer part of me, the higher self, actually speaks in a different tone and tells you, hey, this is what's going on. Like I said, it looks like I'm falling back into the rabbit hole of what I used to do. And then I asked myself, well, why is that happening? And then my higher self responded, well, this is what's going on. And I was able to really see that and understand what I'm doing, what my old habits are versus what I'm moving myself into. And I realized, wow, okay, so I just need to take a breath or a couple of breaths and just go to my happy place. And when I go to my happy place, there's no care in the world. I mean, obviously I care about my family and, fulfilling my wifely and motherly duties, but I'm not concerned about what I'm going to do next. I just realize that I'm in overthinking mode, and I'm going to need to take a deep breath. See, I'm sharing this because I feel it's so important to understand that as you embody your higher self, and that's something that was really interesting because when I realized that I was going down the rabbit hole and I heard the voice, it was like clearly talking to me. It wasn't me saying I and this. It was just like you and blah, blah, blah. It felt like there was another voice, and it's been happening like this ever since I've been embodying my higher self. And it's actually a session that I offer. It's a time bender session. I call it the time bender session because when I started embodying my higher self, I heard the voice, as I was explaining to you, that helped me to save more time because I was able to make decisions so much quicker. I used to overthink things, ask people for their advice or ask people for validation and make me feel like I'm doing something right? And that's another egoic thing to do because we're always afraid to be wrong. We're afraid to do the wrong thing. We're afraid to make a mistake. We're afraid to go down the wrong path. That's all part of duality. And that's all part of the matrix, the 3D matrix of thinking that there is right or wrong. And we go into that pattern because when we come into this lifetime, when we reincarnate, we are already with that veil of separation, the illusion of separation that has been created. And part of the 3D matrix is experiencing duality, because we learn when we're kids what is right and what is wrong. You hear our parents, your guardians, whoever you're around, they're the ones who are imprinting you with their beliefs, their learnings, what they were taught, they're just teaching you. It's just going down generations. And so when you are learning these things, you start to understand that right or wrong exists, and therefore your ego starts to create this barrier and starts to create fear if you're going to do something wrong. So you start looking for validation. And so that also creates stagnation, and it creates this constant overthinking and hard time making decisions. I was really, really indecisive. It took me so long to make decisions about anything. And I would research things all the time and constantly look at information, constantly want more and more and more and more and more. But what I started doing ever since I was embodying my higher self, I started to hear the voices come up quicker. And the decisions that I needed to make were just coming up quicker. And you know what it is? You all have and connected to your higher self. But when your ego just takes over, you forget that your higher self has a voice, and you forget how to connect to it, and you forget how to really embody it so that you can become that version, that higher version aspect of you, right? And that's what our goal is when we are ascending. We want to become lighter beings. We want to become our higher self. We want to become that powerful, spiritually wealthy being that we came here to be. We came here to experience life and to experience the beauty of it and to experience love in a physical form. Because when you are up in the stars, you are not in a physical body. And I mentioned that before in one of my other episodes. But I loved how I saw this was like the beginning of me saving time, right? I was able to spend less time making decisions. I was able to spend less time stressing about a certain decision. And I was able to have more time to do better things. And I also stopped wasting time going out with people that really I didn't mesh with anymore. And I realized that that's something that many people are afraid to do. But let me tell you that when you start to stress less and stop being around people that just drain your energy, you actually feel a lot happier being without them than you are when you're around them or have them in your life, because it's not at the same vibration as you anymore, right? And that's not to say that you are higher level or better than anyone, because that's not what we ever want to say to people. We never want to make ourselves feel like we're higher just because we're at a different vibration. It's just a different state of being. It's not being better than anybody. And when I first started my journey, I didn't see it that way because my ego was still very much at play. And I used to make people feel so bad, and not intentionally, when I used to say things like, I'm higher than you, or I'm an angel from this dimension, or whatever I would say back then, that really was my ego speaking. Because this is the way I see it play out, right? The ego sees that you're going down this path, and even though it's tried to stop you, and even though it continues to say things and try to stop you from evolving, and it's not doing it to hurt you, it's actually doing it to protect you. But when it's doing that and it sees that you're just not paying attention to it anymore, it starts to go with the flow and say, oh, well, maybe this is happening because I'm thinking as if like the ego is a person, but it's going with the flow and thinking to itself like, maybe, she or he is doing this because this is obviously better. It wants the higher self. Okay, so that's fine. we're better than other people if we're doing that. So that's totally fine. Like we're protected either way. You know, I don't know if it's being portrayed in the right way with my words, but it just almost feels as if in the beginning, when you have that, or when I had that, I realized I was making people feel bad. And when I started doing the embodiment, I saw it differently. I wasn't thinking that I was higher or better than anybody. I wasn't trying to make people feel bad. Actually, I became more compassionate towards myself. I became more compassionate towards my family. I became more compassionate towards, even animals. And before, I never used to pay attention to it. When I used to go outside, I used to see the animals, whatever, but never really paid much attention to it. Never cared about feeding them. Now it's like every time I go outside, I take some kind of snack that I can feed the squirrels or the birds. I love feeding the squirrels. They're so cute the way they eat, really. And their small little hands when they hold the walnut and start eating it. It's the most precious thing. But I actually became a really better version of myself. And I love the name Time Bender because it does save you so much time. I actually did a video because I was so intrigued by that name because it came to me so nicely that I said, you know what? I need to have some information about this to show people what I'm talking about. So I created a video that kind of breaks down the research that I did of how much time you're spending and also from my experience, this is not only research, going out to clubs or bars or whatever after work, constantly venting and spending all this time. You have to see the video. If you can, go to ellynkatherine.com, and then you'll see in the Time Bender section under Work With Me, there's a video to watch. It's so, I love it, and it's kind of a little doodly cartoon video, so I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, going back to the whole topic here about the ego and the light. So as we start to embody the higher self, which also is more light, and our body starts to get more light, even if it's 1% more light than density, we're already into the next level, right? So for you to get into the next level, you really do need to become so aware, and you really need to become really conscious about everything that you're doing, what your habits are, what your routines look like, and what are you willing to do to change those small aspects. They're like micro things that you can change to see a much bigger shift. And the Time Bender is actually one of them, because when you start embodying your higher self, you really do start to release some of the density. And I created a free meditation. Oh my God, you guys have to go on my website and download this free meditation. I created this free meditation. It's like a 3-in-1 meditation. Basically, you get to clear out your bioenergetic field, right? Because it all starts in the field. Once there's a thought form or anything that's processed, it's all going through the field. When you have emotions, when you have certain fears or even viruses, all of it comes to the field first before it gets down into your physical body. So what I would suggest is, what I did in this meditation was create a 3-in-1 where you clear out your bioenergetic field, and you do this once or twice per day, whichever one you feel comfortable with. Then the second part of it is getting into the space of allowing your body to become strong enough to hold more light. So once you clear out the bioenergetic field, you want to be able to bring the body in a cohesive unit, right? So that you can have it, you can have the light that you're about to activate to actually stay in your body and not just dissipate. So what I mean is, Let's say you put water in a cup, but the cup is a little broken on the bottom. The water is just going to leak through, right? You're not going to have the full glass anymore because the water is leaking through. So it's the same thing. We want to make our body strong enough to hold the light, the same way we want to have a cup that is not broken to hold the water. And why you clear out your bioenergetic field every day is because we're constantly bombarded by energy. Regardless of where we are, we're picking up on energy from people that are nearby. Everybody's energy affects each other, right? Because it's this big energy field. And we are constantly taking in other people's fears or emotions, our own fears or emotions and worries and whatever. So every time we clear it out and you bring it back and you clear it out again, you're actually allowing your body to be stronger, right? So you're releasing all these what you can call it junk from your energetic field. And then once you do that, you create this beautiful, strong vessel to hold the light. And then, and by the way, with that part, you are actually connecting to Source and to Mother Gaia. And then the third part of it is activating the light. And I love this meditation because this has been such a big contributing factor to my awareness process. So when you are bringing more light into your field, you are actually allowing yourself to release the junk that's in your body, the density, whatever stagnant energy you have, any emotions that you haven't expressed or haven't felt through your body. All of that is going to come up. And when it comes up, oh my God, hooray for you, because this is the most amazing part. Once you clear out all that stuff, and you are going to clear it out eventually, it will eventually come out. No matter how much you do to bypass feeling, you can never get to the next level until you feel. I'm telling you that from 100% of my experience. If you hear the past episodes that I've had, I talked about how I've been crying and feeling sad and whatever. And if you do get into that moment, I would love for you to go back and listen to the first couple episodes because those episodes really are going to help you maneuver through releasing these emotions in such a way where you're not attached to it. The whole point is to look at it at face value, understand it, and leave it. Let it go. And feel it, and then let it go. It's really important. It's really important to feel it. If you want to cry, laugh, scream, yell, but just feel it. Let your body see that emotion, and then that's the way you let it go. And another part of letting it go is not attaching it. So if you wake up one morning and you say, or you feel sad, instead of asking myself, oh my God, why am I so sad? And you start attaching things to it and you start bringing up all your anxieties and stuff, you're not letting it go. You're writing a story to it. But if you look at it and say, oh, I feel this way today. Okay, well, what can I do to release it? And you just feel it and release it and let it go. And it doesn't have to be attached to any type of story that may have happened in your dream that you got scared, or may have happened, yesterday or whatever. It doesn't need to be attached to a story. It just needs to be felt and let go. So I highly, highly, highly recommend for you to go ahead and go to my website, get this audio. It is completely free. I'm doing this because I really want people to see the benefits. And I actually wasn't going to announce this, but I made this audio for a special audience as a free gift. But I'm actually extending it to the public because I really think that this is an amazing experience. that, and I've talked to people who have used it, and the feedback that I'm getting is that it makes them the observer. One person lost her mother from corona, and she was so distraught because she thought, she felt so guilty that she couldn't be there. She felt so guilty that her mom had to go through this pain, and she thought that maybe she was somehow responsible because she sent her something or passed something along in this package that she sent to her mom. After she told me about the passing of her mom, I offered her the audio because I saw that she was getting very nervous. She was very fearful that she might actually get the coronavirus herself. So I tried to help her by giving the meditation that would help her remove it from her energetic field and get her into a different space. And it just so happened that she started seeing a difference after like 2 days, and then a bigger difference after a week. And I remember her telling me that she felt guilty because she was feeling so much better after 1 week of her mother passing, who she was so close with. The point is here that this audio is definitely going to help you get into a higher vibration. It's going to help you get in more light while also grounding yourself so that you are able to pull in all the beautiful, beautiful energy and get into your next level of your evolution. So please go ahead, click on the link in the description of this episode, and you'll be able to get the download. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed doing it. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me at hello@ellynkatherine.com, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me this week on the Blue Blood Wisdom Podcast. Make sure to visit my website, ellynkatherine.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or via RSS so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, be sure to take a moment and give me a 5-star rating on iTunes and share or tell your friends about the show. I'd love to share the wisdom further, and your help will make that happen. Be sure to tune in next week for my next episode.